See, Sushil Modi is. I don't want to waste my time on him, but let me tell you something. 10 minutes back on your show, I told you that every bone of Mamata Banerjee was broken.
Yeah.
In her 25 years of struggle. Who broke it? I don't want to say. But today she's sitting next to them. Go to any pan ki dukan or go walk on the streets or on the metros of Delhi. Hear any two Hindi speaking male talking. Every second word is they're
Cuss
abusing
word.
a sister
Yeah.
or mother. I don't want to use those
Yeah.
unparliamentary words.
Yeah.
So,
Welcome to First Voice Last Word, Hindustan Times' political podcast that in its second season is counting down to 2024. Now, in this series of conversations, we've been getting major newsmakers that give us an insight into politics and what are the issues for the next big general elections. Today, my guest is Sushmita Dev, who is from the Trinamool Congress. She has been an MP and she's also been with the Congress party. So she is, in some ways, she has insight on two big parties, and that's why I'm really looking forward to this conversation today. Sushmita, thank you for being here.
thanks, Sunetra. Lovely to be here.
You know, Sushmita, one of the reasons why I wanted to have a woman politician very soon in this conversation is because we've just seen the passage of the Women Reservation bill and become law. I know that the opposition has had various issues, but in the end, we saw, especially in Rajya Sabha, which you were a part of, it, unanimously being passed. Are you feeling empowered as a woman?
There is no doubt that the bill has been passed. So it's crossed one hurdle, that is inside Parliament. And this was a big hurdle in the past. One can't deny that if I were to look at it objectively. But I think where I am disappointed is it is conditional on delimitation, which is itself very controversial, as you know, the South versus North
Yeah.
debate, the population growth debate. So, such an important political and social reform, which India has been waiting, considering that women are almost 50% of the population and they are voting in larger numbers, to actually wait for their political emancipation and make it conditional on something that may never happen. I think
Will it
that's
never
the
happen?
yeah. I mean, whether it was the Indira Gandhi ji's government, whether it was Bajpayee ji's government, as you know, they all delayed the delimitation. So the Constitution of India itself says that there cannot be a delimitation till a census takes place after 2026. So if you ask me, I think I may be in my 60s by the time this comes, but that doesn't matter. But if I felt that it would happen, even if I may not have the age to contest, I would have still been happy. But whatever I understand about delimitation and the history of delimitation, one cannot say for sure whether it will happen even after 26. So I think since we had to have a government with with a majority, they could have taken a quantum leap and not made it conditional on anything. That would have been a real paradigm shift and a very strong message would have gone. So right now you will see that although it will be said in the elections, oh, we've passed the women's reservation bill, we've passed the women's reservation bill, in effect, it may turn into a jumla, and that's my fear. And I don't say it because I have any vested interest. As a policymaker, I understand that the condition precedent of delimitation actually defeats the purpose, and time will tell you that I'm right.
But I guess all's well that ends well, right? And
That's I agree with you. That's why I'm saying this may not end well. If I felt it ended well, I would have applauded it. No harm. Doesn't matter which government brings it. But you will see, Sunetra, I hope that after 5 years we are on this show again, and you will see that it's not going to be easy
well,
to
it's quite
implement
clear.
it.
I think Hindustan Times also written it's not happening before, 2029 for sure.
See, I'll tell you the logic.
Right.
Because I want your listeners and viewers to understand this. After delimitation, the seats in Lok Sabha will go up. and assemblies will go up,
Right.
right? Because it has to reflect the population.
Especially
As
in the north, which
yeah,
has a higher
assuming that
population.
delimitation happened.
Right.
So what is NDA government is saying that we will give women seats inside Lok Sabha and assembly after we increase the seats.
So the men don't get affected.
Exactly. So you have played into the hands of that argument that men use, that why should we give up our seats for more women? What would have been absolutely historical was to say, out of these 545 seats,
Yeah.
or whatever seats in the assembly, at this point there's nothing stopping us from giving 33% to women. That would have been a real change, and it would have been something that the opposition couldn't have said anything. But the sad part is that it's like it's a half baked cake. So there is a cake, but it's half baked. That's the
Yeah,
sad
like
part.
it's too long a wait, right? And tell me, correct me if I'm wrong, but as a political observer, I don't think, do you think that women voters are saying, अरे हम में से बहुत लोगों को हम लोग कॉन्टेस्ट कर पाएंगे, ज़्यादा आसानी से टिकट मिलेगा, इसलिए हम उस पार्टी को ज़्यादा, आई डोंट नो, इज दिस अ वोट गेटर? दे आर सेइंग दे आर नॉट डूइंग इट फॉर वोट्स, बट आई वंडर, डू यू थिंक दिस इज अ वोट गेटर?
See, to lot of women, it does matter. It may not matter to every woman in the country, because not everyone is aspiring to enter the political arena. But I feel that BJP is good at one thing, which is propaganda, false or otherwise. So the thing is, you will see. I mean, I have no doubts about it, that Prime Minister Modi and his star campaigners will say, we passed this bill which the UPA could not, etc. All that will be used. I mean, we've seen it happen. बहुत हुई महंगाई की मार, अब की बार मोदी सरकार, look where the price of fuel and the price of gas is. So I think they know, look what they did to CA. It was such a big thing. Entire country went into turmoil. Some people were saying it should happen. Some people were saying it's unconstitutional. What came out of it? Nothing. Zero. It's neither here nor there. Look at NRC. Such a big issue, NRC in Assam. Till today, nobody knows what happened. So they pick those issues, they use it in an election, and then they just put it, in the back burner. And I've just given you 3 examples, and that's what's going to happen to the reservation bill.
Coming back to this whole women reservation thing, Sushmita Dev, I want you've been a member of Rajya Sabha, you've been a member of Lok Sabha. For, I speak to all of you women politicians. It's one of these things that I really want to get insight on. There are only 14% of women right now. It's the highest it's ever been. Shocking, really. But I want you to tell me what it's like to be such a minority in politics.
See, for example, I'll tell you something. It just because we had Mrs. Indira Gandhi as the Prime Minister, just because we've had a woman president, doesn't mean that every woman who's doing politics in any party is also empowered. What actually empowers a woman inside a party is the way the systems work. Now, let me give an example. Mamata Banerjee is the biggest brand in Bengal. So, like when I ask my house help, किसको वोट दिया? I have a home in Calcutta. He says, दीदी को वोट दिया. So I said, who's your candidate? So he says, मैंने तो ममता दीदी को वोट दिया. So what has Mamata Banerjee done with her vote catching ability is she has used that to propel women into politics. Where candidate, of course, the character of the candidate and the stature, the image of the candidate matters, but she has used it within her party to throw more women into politics from different walks of life. They are social activists, they are actresses, whatever. So she has enabled the system to throw up more women. Now, if we come to, let's say, the Indian National Congress, I'm just saying, it's not like you don't have women growing inside the Congress party. But what is the challenge? The challenge within the parties is that when there's no capacity building of women. Like when I ran the women's organization for the Congress, I used to keep saying that through the Panchayati Raj system, women have proved that given an opportunity, they can work as policy makers. They're good at governance. In fact, they bring a lot of different things to the table. But I think What parties can do is what Mamata Banerjee has done, and I believe BJD has also done, is you make give a quota inside the party. If you can give it in the CWC, if you can give it in, I don't know, the other committees or bodies, there is no reason why you can't give it during elections. See, that's the rule inside Congress.
Because in
or that's the
Trinamool
rule.
Congress, just to tell those who may not know, you have more than 33%,
Yeah,
right?
we have 40% women.
In Parliament,
Yes, and
in other bodies.
they may win, they may lose, but they have given women that opportunity to stand. So there is actually nothing stopping the BJP or any other party to give women that quota. Start by saying inside the party 15%, if not 33%.
Hmm.
What I'm saying is, it is also the reason why women have not come into parliament and assemblies, also the inability of the parties within the party to enable women to come up
You mean
to
give
elections.
tickets? They
Sorry?
should give
Yes,
tickets.
of course.
No, but tell me, isn't it really difficult, Sushmita, that being a politician, right? I mean, there's no manual. There's no there's no daycare. There's no it's weird. There's men everywhere.
You know, I'll tell you, more than daycare and toilets and having a vending machine for sanitary towels, those things are easy to do. For any party can do it for women in their party, but it's the typecast that you have to fight,
Which is?
which is that there are various examples at state level, district level, block level, where women leaders have come up. You can take me or anybody else as an example, but there is a plethora of examples saying we don't have to give them importance because they're women. Women have to fight to sit on stage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like it's so male dominated that they all go and sit and nobody thinks. So, and you see,
So how do you fight? Like you have to say that
it can
no.
be very humiliating, I'll tell you. And I always tell women who want to come into politics that grow a thick skin.
Hmm.
You have to fight for your position, you have to fight for your place. So I have, for instance, I used to go for certain meetings. I don't want to name the state, when I was the Mahila Congress, and I was on stage because I'm the national president, but the people who had worked for that meeting are sitting, you know.
All the men are on stage.
And all the men are stage. So I used to say, I should not say bring them on stage. So I'll say I'll sit with my team, and I used to go off the stage. And then all the men used to say, no, please bring so and so on stage, please bring so and so on stage. And I think after that it became a rule within the party that they have to be 50% women leaders on every stage when I was there.
No.
Yeah. And I have
Even for the stage seating, there's
yeah,
a quota.
Yeah. It happens. It
Wow.
happens. And let me tell you, I do not blame the high command of the party because they don't micromanage these things.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just general
It's
mindset.
just general mindset.
No,
But I want to say something that
Yeah.
when I went into Trinamool Congress, it is a totally women-led party. You
well,
see,
the boss is a woman.
yeah, boss is a woman. There are many parties with, who have women bosses, but Mamata Banerjee puts women in the forefront. That's her USP. She's known for that, whether it is Andolan, whether it's a program, whether it's nominations, whether it's a cultural program. It's the first thing that strikes you.
Yeah.
It's the first thing that strikes you in that party, that the entire USP, and that's why Mamata Banerjee, if you look at the data, she is a huge vote catcher for the women voters of Bengal.
Yeah.
Most of her schemes, Konna Shri, Lokkir Bhandar,
Yes.
Shobut Shathi, everything is geared towards women. Like
All the male leaders are
Yeah.
doing that as well. Nitish Kumar and others
Yeah.
also do that.
Let
as
me
well.
give you an example. The Assam chief minister is busy, flexing his muscles, saying, I've arrested so many people for child marriage. I've arrested so many people who have done child marriage. Mamata Banerjee is mitigating child marriage and increasing the number of women in higher education through enabling schemes.
Hmm.
So when a law is made, of course it acts as a deterrent. But if you really want the social reform, you have to make a change where it matters. Like giving a girl a cycle so she's not uncomfortable going to school. Giving a girl money for higher education so she doesn't want to get married, she wants to go for higher education.
Yeah. And I guess that do you think that because of Mamata Banerjee, all the Trinamool women are also feistier? Like, they,
Absolutely. I
like, for
think
example, your colleague Maua, she called because someone attacked her and they were, so she used the word, I don't know if we are going to bleep this out, but right? And was caught on. And the thing is that obviously she felt very strongly. And this is obviously there is a huge culture and there's a conversation across the world about women owning up. And why should women be polite? If they're being attacked, it's okay for them to cuss, right? And this became a huge thing in parliament and all of that. And I see it became being a whole, this whole street fighter thing, there's a huge pushback
absolutely, I
about
agree with
women,
you.
right?
It's like when you look at Mohua, when you look at Dola Sen, when you look at Kakuli Dastidar, I mean,
Yeah.
they're all the time geared and ready for a fight
Yeah.
because they know that's the DNA of their party. See, Trinamool is a party of resilience. Look at Mamata Banerjee's history. I mean, you're soon going to talk about India partners, I'm sure, but there is not a single bone in her body which the left has not broken
Yeah, true.
in her years of struggle. When I went to Tripura and they attacked me, and I called Abhishek to say, Abhishek, I think I've broken my little finger. They've beaten us black and blue. He was not. He didn't ask me to play victim. He says, I'm sending 2 ministers to Tripura. Get ready. Tomorrow we're going to gher out the police. So it's in their DNA.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're talking about cuss words. Go to any pan ki dukan or go walk on the streets or on the metros of Delhi. Hear any two Hindi speaking male talking. Every second word is they're
Cuss
abusing
word.
a sister
Yeah.
or mother. I don't want to use those
Yeah.
unparliamentary words.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So
I
one
mean,
has to kind of, yeah, it's part of owning the space, right, Sushmita?
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I hear men abusing in normal parlance, and they generally directed at sisters. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't want to use that
Yeah.
word.
Yeah.
So if Maua said one word because she was angry,
Yeah.
I don't think you should judge her for that.
No, so I'm not judging at all.
Yeah.
But Sushmita, I wanted to ask you because you mentioned Mamata Banerjee is a boss. You've been lucky. Not many women are that lucky that as a woman politician, you've had 2 women bosses. You had Sushmita, I beg your pardon, you had Sonia Gandhi as your boss, and then you had Mamata Banerjee as boss. How are the 2 working styles?
Any two leaders have different styles of working. No two leader can be identical. But I'll tell you that both women are fearless. You know what the BJP doesn't understand about leaders like Mamata Di and Sonia Ji is that the harder you push them, the stronger they become. To think that they would back down is the biggest mistake Narendra Modi ji is making. So they are both very resilient. And I have to say that they are both like mother figures in the party. Like I'll give you an input. Like you want to know how the party works from inside. You look at any administrative meeting of Mamata Di, she's always scolding people. So someone who's from outside Bengal.
I remember when she was saying something that, oh my God, how is your stomach so big?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, ma'am. No, Didi, I do yoga. And she's like, yoga? What yoga do you do? Look at your big belly. So yeah, I get it.
I mean,
yeah.
there are those videos of Mamata Di where she's constantly scolding people. So when people from outside Bengal see it, they don't understand. They'll say, what kind of a chief minister? But that's the way she is. She's a mother figure. Everybody calls her Didi, kind of a thing. And similarly, Sonia Ji. So Sonia Ji is also like, she may not have a position in the Congress. She may be the UPA. Now there's no UPA also. But you know what I mean? It's like she's like the guardian for everybody. So there are those similarities. And I think both are fighters.
Yeah.
And I think Modi ji is underestimating both. That's what I think.
I thought I would ask you this later, but this just fits in. I was reading this. She's an American author, and she has done this whole study of women in politics in India. And she said that while everyone, looks at nepotism and looks at dynasty as a bad thing, but that's the only way that a lot of women in India have found space, because they said that who else? It's so intimidating for outside women to come into a ganda place like politics. Like, you ask all my team members and stuff, and they'll all be like, oh my God, that looks horrible. Nobody from a nice college and who studied and wants to become a politician, right? So they heard this academics theory was that yes, while it has negative connotations now, but it was through dynastic politics that women have found space. And she quoted the large numbers of families that have enabled women to come in. You are there, you're Santosh Mohan Dev's daughter.
Right.
There's Supriya Sule, and they're the Munde sisters. Kani Mori. So we are saying, thank God we have some women, and that's because of dynastic politics.
Yes, coming from a political family, politics is not alien to you. But if you take any other ordinary family which has had absolutely no experience in politics, there's the fear of the unknown. And let's face it, if you if an ordinary person who's not in politics opens the television, they think politics mein to ya corruption hai,
Yeah.
ya violence hai.
And you went to St. Stephen's College, right?
Miranda.
You went to Miranda. Did other classmates want to become, or were they going into politics? Are any of them in politics?
You see, student politics is actually the right place for women to be groomed. And I remember that time, it was to be ABVP versus NSUI. NSUI used
Still
to
is.
always, now Aam Aadmi Party is also
Yeah,
there. I don't know
that's
how
true.
they do it.
Yeah.
But I think what they always do is they always give women candidates, because I started my politics from RUSU elections.
Wow.
So that's the best grooming place for activism, for politics. And I quite agree with this theory that we may look down on dynastic politics, but the fact is that has also facilitated more and more women into politics. There's no doubt about it.
But what do you make of the fact that Modi ji says that dynastic politics is one of three evils in the country? That's what he said on 15th August when he talks to people. And I think a lot of people buy that, Sushmita Dev, that, he says this is what's eating into our resources.
You see, Modi ji should realize that there is absolutely no legal bar. Is there any disqualification to say if my father is a politician, I can't enter into politics? But I am winning an election and coming. Modi ji only says that because he's single, he doesn't have any sons and daughters, but to stop another politician's son and daughter who wants to serve the nation through politics, I don't think it should be treated as an evil. It is just a narrative he's trying to build against the opposition. There is a Anurag Thakur, there is a Munde, and there is Rajnath Singh's son. They are all children of politicians. So I think that argument of his is not going to work. And who's he to give us a certificate? People are voting for us. They know whose daughter I am. They know who's, Abhishek Banerjee's father and mother and aunt. They know who's Gaurav Gogoi's father. So who is Modi ji to give us a certificate? If people decide that I've unfairly come into politics because of nepotism, there are enough children who lose, Sunetra.
Yeah, that's true.
There are enough children who lose elections because
But there's
people
a little
don't think they're
advantage,
capable.
Sushmita. There's a little advantage because people,
Of course.
your father was a legend. I'm from Northeast and I know what a legend your father was. So, Sushmita, if you contested and I tried to get a ticket, obviously you would have an advantage over me.
Absolutely. I don't deny that at all, that if you come from a political family, you have a head start from the others. Somebody who has no political background has to start from ground zero. There's absolutely no two ways about that. But that can't disqualify me from coming into politics. But I think what should happen is, if a Santosh Mohan Dev can help Sushmita Dev win, if a Mamata Di can help Abhishek Banerjee come up, if Sonia ji can help Priyanka ji and Rahul ji to come up, they should similarly put that same force behind other women and other youngsters who are coming
But
from
do
ground
they?
zero. Don't they?
I don't know.
I mean,
People do become a little, sentimental about their own children, right? They do. give
Of
them
course. See, you may become sentimental about your own children. That doesn't guarantee your children will succeed, Sunetra. That doesn't mean your children. Has it been easy for Abhishek or has it been easy for Rahulji to come up? Has
Yeah,
Akhilesh
that's
Yadav
true.
not struggled to come where he is? Has Jain Chaudhary, who's Ajit Singh's son, has just overnight become a leader? Have they not lost elections? Come on, there's a struggle in everyone's story. Let's
True.
not undermine that.
I have to ask you because obviously, as a political journalist, what I noticed was first when the opposition alliance name India came up, first they said I dot N dot D dot. First they said, the BJP said that, and they started saying
Indie.
um, India Alliance, and they're going on changing that. So obviously the name seems to have, and there was this whole talk about changing India's name, going back to Bharat. Who came up with it? Whose idea was this?
See, Sunetra, I was not in that meeting, so I'm not privy to. I know in the social media, somebody was saying Rahul ji, somebody was saying
Mamata
Mamata
Banerjee,
Banerjee.
yeah.
But I think what the India partners have managed to do is strike the imagination of the people
Yeah.
and rattle the BJP. So it helps us that the BJP's put the dots and now trying to change the name, and I've noticed in social media on a lighter note, the pro alliance people have started referring to BJP as a BJ party. You must have
Yeah.
seen that
I
BJ
saw
party.
that. Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think the game is on.
Game is on.
Yeah, the game is
Yeah.
on, and the battle is started. The war will be in 24, and I think we are getting battle ready, and these
Look,
are all the
for
signs.
journalists, it's a great story because this is what we want. We don't know which way it's gonna go, and it's like, and I remember my conversations with you a couple of years ago, right, where things looked kind of not for Trinamool Congress, but for Congress it looked really bleak, and now they seem to be, the game is on, like you're saying. So I wanted to ask you, however, something that one of the alliance partners said at Hindustan Times. Arvind Kejriwal came and said something which I thought was very, very, when someone just says something which kind of like, so he said, when, the interviewer moderator asked him, कि सारे opposition को क्या एक साथ आकर के भाजपा से लड़ना चाहिए, and he said, लोगों को ये पसंद नहीं आता है कि आप लोग किसी को हराने के लिए मतलब एक साथ ये करें, एक साथ मिल जाए. He basically that you need a bigger idea. People are not going to vote for you because you've all come together to gang up on someone. They want to vote for someone who improves their lives, who gives them aspiration.
A dream, if you like.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I will not negate what Chief Minister of Delhi has said. There are two aspects in politics. One is the narrative, and second is elections. So I think at the end of the day, political parties in 2024 have to win. So to win, you need seat sharing. Who are you going to contest against? The obvious answer is Bharatiya Janata Party. So we can't say we are not contesting to defeat the Bharatiya Janata Party. Of course, we are contesting to defeat the Bharatiya Janata Party. Now come to the narrative side. Yes, the narrative has to be positive.
Yeah.
Okay. So for instance, when Prime Minister Modi in 2014 campaign, he sold the Gujarat model.
Right.
Of course, today nobody knows what is that Gujarat model. It's shelved. Like there's no answer to that. That is by way of example that what is our narrative. But I think there's a commonality in our narrative, which individual parties before the India partners came together have been fighting for against unemployment, against price rise, against greater national and international security, international borders. So I think that narrative is there. And once a common minimum program comes, which they've already agreed there's going to be one, that positive narrative will come. Now, why does it sound like, oh, we are trying to defeat Modi? Mr. Modi is nothing but an individual, but he stands for a certain kind of politics. And let me tell you, in India, there's no gray area anymore. Either you're with the idea of Modi's politics or you're totally against it. No one is a fence sitter anymore. I think people are more or less
But you're
decided.
saying that narrative of what you stand for, that'll come in sometime.
Absolutely. And it's already
Well, it
there.
could be caste, no?
Sorry?
It could be caste.
See, I'll tell you what. Caste is very much a part of Indian politics. You cannot deny that, because when you throw up leaders, their caste matters. When you don't win an election because some caste is not voted for you for some reason, so caste politics, I think, is still very much entrenched in Indian politics. You can't deny that. But India has shown that there are issues on which the country can come together. A section of people can come together and said, what is our primary concern is saving the country from, let's say, one example would be communal politics. This country is united. This country united against the British for freedom struggle. I don't think there were many differences. They may have been different platforms and different people in different voices, but they were united in saying we want independence. So this country, despite different castes and communities and languages and culture, has the ability to come together in the greater interest of the nation.
I'll just give you the counter to that, which they say, especially of your state, I mean,
Yeah.
Trinamool state, which is they say ki, how is it possible? The BJP, Sushil Modi was on this show and he said, क्या आप सोच सकते हैं कि बंगाल में अभी CPM और कांग्रेस तृणमूल के खिलाफ लड़ रही थी, तो वो कैसे एक साथ लड़ेंगे?
See, Sushil Modi is. I don't want to waste my time on him, but let me tell you something. Bharatiya Janata Party tied up with Mehbooba ji in Kashmir. So is pot calling the kettle black. अपने गिरेबान में तो झाँक के देखिए मोदी जी, मतलब छोटे मोदी जी. So let's
Okay.
not go down that
Yeah.
road. In
Yeah.
fact, I think, Sunetra, let me turn it around.
Right. Okay.
10 minutes back on your show, I told you that every bone of Mamata Banerjee was broken
Yeah.
in her 25 years of struggle. Who broke it? I don't want to say. But today she's sitting next to them. That is the strength of
True.
India partners.
True. True.
You understand?
Yeah,
So that's
yeah.
what I'm saying.
Mhm.
Today,
For example, I even as an observer and a journalist, I was very surprised that Congress came out in support of the the bill, which was the Delhi bill, in support of Aam Aadmi Party, which, and they're so against each other. So obviously we are seeing.
you see, it is issue today. The bill basically attacks the very principle of federalism. That's what we were all fighting against.
I have to ask you this, because we have to wrap up, although it's always so much fun talking to you, Sushmita Dev, is what according to you then is the biggest issue? You're saying it's anti-communalism.
I'm saying it is unemployment, it is price rise, it is international border security, and to top it all, I think every single person realizes that BJP has damaged two things in this country. One is unity, and the second thing is civil liberty. These two are going to be, the most important factors in the minds, and that's what separates us from the BJP. Civil liberties and unity. And there's, of course, unemployment, price rise, and China, and all of that, which will also come into play in the 2024 election.
And this it always strikes me that things, even though like I've been a political journalist for 20 years, but I've seen that things have really broken down between the BJP and other parties. Before they used to have, behind the scenes, they used to be friends with each other. Do you have any BJP friends?
To be very honest, it's become so adversarial.
It has,
It has
hasn't
become so adversarial that I have to say that it's becoming increasingly difficult to socialize with people in the BJP. And I think I'm sad about it. I'm sad about it. I think that's the reason Prime Minister Modi has not kept a central hall. I think the message is clear. No tea and coffee, no chai pe charcha. So I think the fact that the central hall is not there has taken away a very important institution in the parliament, which I think Derek wrote about in one of the papers. He's made it more difficult for us to meet and put our politics aside and talk. It's going to harm parliamentary democracy even further, I think.
I think that we should meet again to talk about that and how life is like in the new parliament as well. Thank you so much, Sushmita Dev.
Thank you, Sunetra. Lovely talking to you.